In this video, I'm ranking most major manufacturers. There's a couple I'm leaving off, like some of the irrelevant ones, like PAX or Golden Horse, and some I'm leaving off, like Togo, just because I don't know enough about their overseas rides to really form an opinion on them. With that said, let's just jump right into it, because we got a lot to cover today. In last place, I have RCCA. What isn't wrong with this manufacturer? Like, genuinely, I think this might be the worst possible manufacturer there is. They were responsible for Son of Beast, one of the all-time worst coasters. Yeah, it was tall and fast, but the ride ran horribly. If you can think of a good RCCA coaster, let me know in the comments, because I could not think of one. So I had to put them dead last. Number 21, we have DynCorp. This one is pretty similar to RCCA, but they had a couple that were like mediocre. They weren't horrible. Beast, it's overrated because it's not that great. It just goes in a line half the time, but I can understand why some people like it. And Thunder Run, the first half isn't that bad. Aside from a couple of these rides, a lot of theirs suck. It's bad. And they also have like some of the most RMC'd attractions of the wooden coaster manufacturers. So definitely a low placing one. Now, number 20, I have Schwarzkopf. I might get some backlash for this because I think people tend to rate this one a little bit higher. But are any of their rides really that good? Out of all the Schwarzkopf coasters, I've been on Revolution, Riddler Mindbender, and Scorpion. Scorpion was awful, and Mindbender and Revolution were just so meh. They were just boring. I mean, their vertical loops are good, but that's about it. They've got pretty bad transitions, they're very uncomfortable, and the restraints aren't that good either. I've heard Shockwave and Olympia looping are pretty good, but aside from that, I haven't heard anything outstanding. Like, do they really have any great rides, or just these okay ones? That's why I rank Schwarzkopf as one of the lower ranking manufacturers. Coming in at number 19 is Chance. This is going to start a theme of manufacturers that haven't had the chance to grow that much.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. That wasn't that funny. I think Chance has the opportunity to be good, but they just need to expand. Obviously, their clear best coaster is Lightning Run, and it's got good ejector, and it's somewhat smooth. It's got a bit of a rattle, a bit of a shake to it, but it's pretty good. Slime Streak looks like a good family coaster, and I'm really excited to see how the new Hyper GTX going to Arizona turns out. I think they definitely have potential, but they just need to broaden their portfolio a bit before they can become an elite manufacturer. Number 18th, we have Zamperla. If you would have asked me a year ago, I would have put this company a few spots higher. Ever since I rolled Rollin' Thunder at OA, I realized this company was capable of making good rides. But since the recent work on Top Thrill 2 has been a disaster, and it's still closed and there's no end in sight, we still have no idea whenever this ride is going to be open. And since the poor reliability, and also just they haven't made that many good rides, it's mainly just their Thunderbolt model, I couldn't put this company any higher. And number 17th is Mauer. This is a pretty mid manufacturer. They're like the definition of boring. They've made some spinning coasters, the Skyloop model, and Hollywood Red Rocket. And aside from that, they really have not done anything else. Their best model is probably their Skyloop. Abismo looks interesting, but the layout after the chain lift really does not look that great. So that's why this manufacturer is placed at 17. Number 16th is going to be Giovanola. I bet a lot of you thought that I would rank this way lower, but I actually think they're pretty solid. Of their 3 coasters, I've been on Goliath at Magic Mountain, and it was way better than I thought it was going to be. It had some mind-melting positives and some good floater airtime on the airtime hill. Yes, the first drop isn't that great, but it still pulls some forces, and I think it's quite underrated. Considering that Goliath is the worst of their 3 coasters, I think this manufacturer is pretty solid. Between Titan and Anaconda, which looks like it could rival some B&M inverts, this is a pretty strong manufacturer. They just went defunct way quicker than I would have liked. Also, Goliath was glossy smooth, and I've heard that their other rides are same as well. Number 15th is going to be Zero. This is the best of the still growing companies. They have most consistent quality, with both Impulse and Wicked being some good thrill coasters, especially with Wicked having its unique launch. And they also have some great family coasters with Liseberg Bonin and also Verbolten, which for me has always been a big bucket list coaster. It just looks like it has some good theming, good indoor section, and also surprise at the end. I would really like to see this company move further into the thrill market and the family thrill market. I think they could definitely become an upper tier manufacturer if they just push more into those markets. Number 14th is PTC, the classic wooden coaster manufacturer. They have some bad rides, yes, but most of their rides are pretty solid, and I feel like While they may not have any standout rides except for maybe Phoenix at Knoebels, most of their coasters have some good airtime and are just kind of fun, you know? They're a classic wooden coaster, and I feel like no major park is complete without one of these rides. 13th is going to be Aerodynamics. There's a lot of good with Aerodynamics, but there's also a lot, and I mean a lot, of bad things. They have made some really bad rides, and a lot of these bad rides. But they're probably the most important manufacturer of all time. Without them, no Golden Ticket Awards, no 4D coasters, and no Coaster Wars. So I will excuse a lot of the crap that they've made. Also, I'll excuse it because they've made some pretty good rides. Tennessee Tornado and Loch Ness Monster are great multi-loopers. Magnum was the first hypercoaster and also has some intense airtime. And X2 is one of my favorite coasters of all time. Now, if you've made it this far into the video and you're still watching and enjoying the content, please consider liking and subscribing because there's going to be a lot more coaster content coming soon. With that said, at number 12 is going to be Premier, the true neutral of coaster manufacturers. They haven't built anything world class, but also they haven't really built anything that's god-awful. Their worst is probably Flight of Fear, in my opinion, because that's gotten a bit rough. But they've also made some pretty good rides like Full Throttle and my personal favorite, Skyrocket at Kennywood, which is severely underrated. Both of these rides have great airtime moments and inversions. I will say my one major gripe with this company is their restraints. They are not comfortable at all. And I'm not just talking about the comfort collars, but the lap bars too. They don't sit on your lap, they sit on your stomach. So oftentimes your stomach will just get jammed into the lap bar and it can be really uncomfortable. Aside from that, I think this is still a pretty solid manufacturer. Now, coming at number 11, the halfway point of the list, is CCI. Now we're starting to get into the real good manufacturers. CCI has made some really elite stuff. You got Shivering Timbers and Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is one of my personal favorite wooden coasters of all time. While they have made some rough coasters, their layouts are unmatched by almost every other manufacturer, except for maybe Gravity Group. But they're definitely better than GCI layouts. Not much to say here, just an all-around solid company. Just making it to the top 10, we have Morgan. I think Morgan is one of the most underrated manufacturers. They built multiple hypercoasters and even a Giga. And these aren't bad rides either. Most of them are smooth with good airtime. And of course, we can't talk about them without talking about Phantom's Revenge. One of the best coasters out there, combining smooth, graceful elements and speed with demonic airtime at the end. A very underrated company for sure. And yes, some of their rides aren't as great as, say, like a B&M Hyper, but they're still good rides and still pretty smooth. I think they deserve more credit than what people give them. Now, at number 9, I have GCI. Before you start writing your hate comment, hear me out here. Every ride is the same. They have like 2 models, the Family Coaster and their Thrill Coaster. That's it. Yeah, they're good, but they're so heavily overrated. I would say Thunderhead is my personal favorite, but I don't think any of them are really that outstanding. Mystic Timbers is good, but it's not a world-class ride. But I will be rewriting Mystic Timbers this weekend, so maybe that'll change. I'll update you guys if it does. But the only way I see myself putting GCI any higher is if I ride like Wood Coaster, and it's really that good. But even then, I think it's overhyped just because of it being a GCI. Now, number 8 is S&S. This was a really hard one to place. They have a lot of variety, but also really low reliability. Between Max Force, Dodonpont, and Steel Curtain, they are rapidly approaching one of the least reliable manufacturers. They do make really good rides though. Their 4D coasters especially give this company an outstanding profile with both Ejunica and Dinoconda. Even the smaller Friesman model I think is pretty good. S&S is also very innovative, and I can't wait to see the first Axis coaster being built. If they can sort out their reliability, I think they could easily become a top 5 manufacturer. Now, number 7 is Gravity Group. This is the best wooden manufacturer, and honestly, I don't even think it's that close. They've been the reality of what wooden coasters could be. Massive camelbacks, inversions, and 90-degree banks. They really have everything. Very few bad rides and so many hits like Boardwalk Bullet, Voyage, Hades 360, Leviathan, and so on. The main caveat, however, is that the rides can get quite rough. Even with retracking, Voyage is still quite a rough ride, and rides like Hades 360 and Mindblower, I've heard have gotten really bad. But it still doesn't fully detract from the great layouts. The fact that people are still willing to marathon these coasters despite how rough really shows how great these layouts are. Number 6 is Gerstlauer. Another manufacturer with very consistent quality. The Eurofire and Infinity models are some of the best models out there. They take the basic multi-looper and make them much more interesting by adding elements such as stalling at the top, beyond vertical drops, vertical lift hills, launches, etc. Gerstlauer also has some of, if not the best family coasters, such as Fire Chaser Express at Dollywood, and also even their spinning coasters. I didn't think that they were going to be that good, but you spin a lot, and especially you can get some good airtime on their models. Lastly, they do have really punchy launches, which I didn't realize until I heard about rides like Shellraiser, Flug von Novgorod, and Karajo. This is truly an elite manufacturer, and I think people are sleeping on them. And at number 5, I might get some flack from this, but I have B&M. Quite the fall from grace with this company. Don't get me wrong, they are still an amazing manufacturer, but they don't have the quality that I once thought they did. The boring B&M loopers kind of bring them down, and that's most of their portfolio. Even inverts and flyers, I really don't think are that great. They're still pretty cookie cutter. The saving grace that holds them up is their Hyper and Giga model. Many of their Gigas and Hypers are world-class rides and do make the company great, but there's such a big gap in quality between the multi-loopers and these rides that really brings them down. One thing that is great about this manufacturer is their reliability. They have a perfect track record, and if you go to a park, 9 out of 10 times the B&M will be open. And this really does push them into the top tier of manufacturers. If they were unreliable, I don't even know if they would crack my top 10 on this list. And coming in at number 4, I have Vekoma. Hear me out here. I am not talking about past Vekoma. I'm talking about Vekoma now. And what Vekoma doing now is amazing. This manufacturer has grown so much from their past that they are now completely different. You could look at an old Vekoma and a new Vekoma and you would have no idea that they were built by the same manufacturer. It is crazy. And the new Vekoma rides are just so good. And it's not just their thrill coasters, it's their family coasters too. Their boomerang model is great fun. Big Bear Mountain has had rave reviews and is an amazing family ride. Their thrill coasters have great airtime, good inversions, and great launches. The second I got off of Formula, I knew that Vekoma was going to be a top tier manufacturer in the next 15 years. And I know once we get more Vekoma rides in America, it's even going to shoot up further on most people's list of manufacturers. I am very excited for Circuit Breaker at Codaland and the Boomerang at Great Adventure to open up, because I know when people get on these rides, they're going to realize that they are world-class attractions. Just making the top 3 of RMC. What a phenomenal company. Their first coaster was literally the best coaster in the entire park, and that happens with almost every park that they touch. They get a new best coaster. They may be a young company, but they are very much a strong company, and I think we all know that. There are a few issues though. They are not the most reliable. Between Lightning Rod's launch, Zadra falling over, and Steel Vengeance playing bumper cars, there are many issues, but I can excuse that because they are very young, and they are still very much a small company. My other issue is with the variety. They really only have 4 models, one of them being the Topper, which is basically already dead. I think if they get some more unique models, they could easily become a number 1 manufacturer, but now they're third just based off the quality of their main 2 models. And at number 2, we have Intamin. Oh my god, Intamin is so good. Launch coasters, hypers, inverts, family coasters, Zaxpins. Okay, maybe not that one. But so many amazing rides that I don't even know what I can say that hasn't already been said about Intamin already. Great steel coasters, great wooden coasters, just overall amazing. Why isn't this number 1? Well, one issue: reliability. It sucks when you go to a park and their best coaster is closed. I've been boondoggled by so many of Intamin's rides. Skyrush, Accelerator, Dragster twice, El Toro twice. It sucks having the best coaster in the park close. And if you can't ride the ride that's made, what's even the point? Aside from reliability, I also don't really like their restraints. The bar on the over-the-shoulder restraints really digs into your thighs, and don't even get me started on the Skyrush restraints. They do seem to be improving this though, as Skyrush is getting new restraints this year, and also the new gen Intamin lap bars do look quite comfortable. Despite being an older company, they are still in their prime right now with banger after banger, such as Velocicoaster, Pantheon, Conda, Hyperion, and many more. But they aren't as good as my number 1, which is Mach. If you would have asked me what the best manufacturers were 5 years ago, I don't even think Mach would have made my top 5. But I realized they really have it all. Great quality in both family and thrill rides, great restraints, great reliability. They have been popping off lately. Hyperia, Time Travel, Copperhead Strike, and some rides that look like they could be my number 1, such as Voltron and Ride to Happiness. This is truly an elite manufacturer, and I don't know why people are sleeping on these. So that was my ranking of all the major manufacturers. Did this make you mad? Probably. Tell me all about how I'm wrong in the comments and subscribe for more.